Hello, everyone, and welcome to Condition to Perform podcast, where we explore the science behind elite athletic performance. I'm Yonas Mehretab, and today we're diving into a critical topic in professional football, which is injury prevention and conditioning. My research question for this episode is: how do strength and conditioning practices contribute to injury prevention in professional football? We're going to explore this through a practical lens with the help of three very special guests. And the first guest is a strength and conditioning coach from Como Football Club. The second one is a physiotherapist for Como Football Club. And the third guest is a psychologist for Como Football Club. Our guests work very closely with elite athletes to improve physical readiness and minimize injury risks during a long and intense football season. So today we'll connect these academic insights with on-the-ground experience to better understand how theory becomes practice. Hi, Mattia. Nice to have you here. It's a pleasure. You're a psychologist for Como, so I would like to ask a question related to the mental aspect, which would be how sport injuries influence mental health of professional football players.
This is a very hard question, but I try to highlight three different dimensions connected with mental health. The first one is the emotion. When an injury came, the athlete can have a fluctuation in emotion, characterized by feeling of loss, decreased self-esteem or frustration, anger, anxiety, especially in the initial phase of the injury, of the recovery pathway. The second dimension is about identity, because the athletic identity of professional athletes is something very important for them, and through injury pathway, the athletes can have a modification of social interaction due to loss of the role, or also modification of self-image, with, of course, implication for self-esteem. And the third dimension is about the cognitive distortion, because a possible effect is the catastrophizing. So, for example, I won't be able to return to how I was before. The generalization, for example, I will lose my basic speed. The personalization, why it's always me getting hurt, and other possible cognitive distortion. So the work with the athlete in this phase is try to support them from a emotional, identity, and the cognitive point of view.
So welcome Lorenzo Balocco. He's physiotherapy for under-19s for Como, and I would like to ask the first question, which is, in your experience, what are the most common types of injuries seen in professional football, and how do they typically develop over the course of a season?
Speaking from my experience in professional football, if I have to choose three most common injuries during a season, I would choose muscle tears, ankle sprain, and knee disorder. This season, we have clearly encountered a variety of muscle injuries. First and foremost, hamstring tears have been the most common. This because football is a sport that require different kind of skills, sprinting skills, and also change of direction that put a high load to this kind of muscle. But we have also had some cases involving the iliopsoas and the ductus muscles. And I noticed that this kind of tears happen more in goalkeepers. This type of injuries typically occur during the central phase of the season. In my case, we noticed a peak during the winter period when the training and match load tends to be higher and more consistent. As for joint-related problems, we have seen a number of ankle sprain, generally first or second grade. And naturally, these vary depending on the trauma each player is exposed to. But they were all impact related and not due to chronic instability. And in conclusion, we have had also some knee disorders, ligament and meniscus tears, and also in the final stage of our season, we had noticed a peak of patellar tendinopathy. This is probably due to the overuse and the overload of the season and the training load, clearly.
And also, Lorenzo, could you tell me what role does individual player profiling and injury history play in planning a personalized conditioning program?
From a physiotherapy perspective, it's absolutely essential to know our athlete because each player has their own unique medical history, of course. For me, understanding their clinical background, past injuries, and the performance goals that we have to reach is fundamental when planning their return to play. Today, especially in I think in rehabilitation phase, we can no longer apply the same program to everyone. Exercise selection must be tailored not only to the type of injury, but also to the type of player for their specific role on the pitch. Because, for example, a fullback typically covers around 12 kilometers per match, with lots of high-speed running, while a central defender tends to play in a more static way and positional way. This kind of difference can greatly influence the choice of and dosage, obviously, of our exercise selection during a rehab. Lastly, in my opinion, it's also extremely helpful to continue with the personalized programs, even if the player come back with the team, with the training with the team. If we truly want to reduce risk factors, it's important to carry on with some of the rehab-specific work for a center period, of course, because returning to full performance doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, and that transition phase needs to be managed carefully in order to avoid a second re-injury.
Hello, Lorenzo
Quando vuoi.
Sala. It's a pleasure having you today. Would you like to introduce yourself and give me a bit of insight on how injuries in football develop and how they work out in this industry?
Yes, of course. Hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Lorenzo Sala, and I am the strength and conditioning coach of the under 19 of Como 1907 in Italy.
Thank you so much. So, first question we have is how do communication and collaboration between medical staff, coaches, and players influence injury prevention and return to play decisions?
Well, I think it's absolutely fundamental. First of all, within the medical area, so between the doc, the physio, and the fitness coach. For example, here in Como, every day we meet before the training all together, and we establish the rehab program for each injured player every day. Of course, to do this, in addition to our personal evaluations based also on the data support, we listen the feedback and the feelings of the player himself every day. Then,
Okay.
in a final phase, when, for example, a player is approaching the return to the team, to the field, it's also fundamental to communicate with the technical staff, above all with the fitness coach of the team. In this way, we are sure that the return to the field and the return to play to the team is correct, also in terms of load. The player's insertion into the team is never direct, but always gradually. In fact, our objective is to avoid the re-injury, so another injury again, and to put the player in the best possible physically and athletic conditions.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Finally, I would like to add that to make the return to play process even more perfect, we also collaborate a lot with the psychological area.
Okay. Thank you for this thorough answer. One more question for you, Lorenzo, is
Yeah.
in what ways have modern technologies such as GPS tracking and biomechanics analysis changed the way you monitor and prevent injuries?
Well, technological devices helped a lot the world of rehabilitation. Obviously, also in professional football. And in my opinion, GPS and heart rate monitors, for example, are fundamental for the monitoring of the rehab process of every single player. The difficulty sometimes could be difficult to understand how to use it. And basically, for the external load, we have the possibility here in Como to use StatSport GPS. And
Okay.
the main objective is using them is to bring the injured player to the fitness condition of the team. So this is the main objective. Also considering obviously the pre-injury data and comparing also the data of the players in the same role. For example, strikers, defenders, midfielders.
Okay, specific.
For this kind of GPS, so StatSport, we have also the possibility to use the live system. And this is it's very good because it's easier to manage the load also during the training and also during the matches. But with the injury player, we use obviously during the training. So it's very easy and it's very important to manage the load during the training using the live system.
And makes your life easier.
Yeah, very easier. And for the internal load, in
Yeah,
Como with the Primavera, for example, we since this season we also use polar cardio monitors
yeah.
to measure the heart rate during the trainings. And this device also have the possibility to evaluate in live the player's metabolic conditions. And with this, obviously, we are able to manage the load and also, if necessary, to stop the training if the load is too high for the injured players.
Thank you. Thank you for this answer. It was a pleasure having you today, Lorenzo, and good luck with the rest of your career.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. This conversation shows that injury prevention isn't just about avoiding pain, it's about optimizing performance and longevity. Thanks also again to our guests from Como, and thank you for listening to Condition to Perform. Stay tuned for more insight into the science of sport. Thank you.